The owners of this mobile shop in Kathmandu, 2011 started with bad news.
We closed in the afternoon. There was a power cut until 8 p.m. Within that time, some thieves managed to break in.
Sanukaji wants to take no more chances. The back door used by the burglars has been permanently boarded now. Electricity has become a rare commodity in Nepal. The entire country's electricity is generated from hydropower plants. As the dry season starts, power supply drops. The electricity board rotates power cuts around Kathmandu neighborhoods, and the lights are off for 12 hours a day. Because power cuts are scheduled, criminals take advantage and plan their next loot. While this darkness has made it a lot easier for criminals to operate, the task of the police force has been made much more difficult. We're here with a team of police on a patrol of areas which are under a power cut.
In the past 6 months, there have been 3 deaths just here. There are no lights above the traffic divider. After about 11 p.m, people drive a lot faster and sometimes drink and ram against these.
Within minutes, Inspector Prahlad Karki got a message about a hit-and-run accident.
Who did you have on your bike?
I had my daughter on the back. A car hit me. I fell. I picked up my daughter.
Did you get the bike number?
I did not see the number.
What colour was the car?
Another bike ran into a traffic island.
I could not see anything.
Are you drunk?
No, I'm not.
Only 9,000 police are responsible for a population of over 3 million people. Superintendent of Police Pushkar Karki is responsible for Kathmandu Valley.
I've started motorcycle policing because in the dark you can get in smaller roads or inner alleys easily than in a vehicle.
With thousands of small streets and more power cuts scheduled across Kathmandu, the police force is going to be further stretched. Subina Shrestha, Al Jazeera, Kathmandu.
Well, Thailand's Prime Minister has called for a peaceful solution to a border dispute with Cambodia. A ceasefire is currently in place after renewed fighting in the region. Cambodian soldiers and Thai forces exchanged gunfire near a contested 900-year-old temple on Saturday. 1 Thai soldier died in that exchange. 3 other soldiers and a civilian were killed in clashes on Friday. Kazakhstan's long-serving leader has dropped a proposed referendum to extend his term in office for another 10 years. The change of tack comes as Kazakhstan wraps up the Asian Winter Games. Robin Forestier-Walker reports.
It's the largest international event ever hosted in Central Asia. Over $1 billion has been spent making the Asian Winter Games happen. Kazakhstan has forged ahead of its neighbours.
International events like these Winter Games are a sign of Kazakhstan's growing prosperity, and most people tend to link that with their president.
President Nazarbayev making a lot of things, developing Kazakhstan.
Nur Sultan is like an immortal in Kazakhstan.
Popular he may be, but after 20 years, President Nazarbayev has brought little democracy to Kazakhstan. His one-party parliament has instead tried to keep the status quo by proposing to hold a referendum to extend Mr. Nazarbayev's rule until 2020. But on Monday, the president did the unexpected.
As the first democratically elected president, and solely in the best interest of the country, I have decided not to hold a referendum. I am submitting a proposal to hold early presidential elections, despite it being 2 years before the end of my current term in office.
Critics say this is not a push in a democratic direction. Independent monitors have never judged Kazakh elections free or fair.
It's too pity that President Nazarbayev tried to save power, but he is not tried to develop here a very strong political institution. I mean, for example, party system. I mean, our parliament.
Kazakhstan is a long way from Cairo. Stability and prosperity are a good tonic against popular discontent. But without the appearance of legitimacy, Even President Nazarbayev may be wondering whether any regime is too big to fall. Robin Forestier-Walker, Al Jazeera, Almaty.
Well, the island enclave of Macau is cashing in on a surge of gamblers from the Chinese mainland. Casino revenues from January, $2.3 billion apparently. Rob McBride has more.
Welcoming in a new year that's proving particularly auspicious for Macau's tourism and casino executives, with record gambling revenues and visitor arrivals from mainland China.
And China's very much in support of Macau. Lots of visitor numbers here and so on.
Well, yes, of course. Last year, the total visitation is over 25 million. We hope that this year we'll have another double-digit increase.
A further seal of China's approval for this bustling former Portuguese enclave, the arrival of two giant pandas, helping to bring in the tourist numbers. But it's the high rollers from China who are driving the casino boom.
They are very much driven by liquidity conditions in China. So if the bank taps are open, these guys are filling up their buckets and they're coming to play in Macau.
Their destination, the Cotai Strip, home to many of Macau's new mega casinos.
By any standards, it's a remarkable recovery, turning the Cotai Strip into arguably the world's most valuable piece of gambling real estate. And the predictions are that Macau is only just getting started.
Construction work that was halted during the downturn won't be stopped for much longer, and future resorts are planned. It's raised the stakes in the battle over one of the biggest casino groups, founded by tycoon Stanley Ho, seen as the father of Macau gambling. Now ailing and fighting a very public battle in the media with his wives and children over the control of his empire.
Can I quote you as saying that you feel as if it's robbery? Yeah.
There is partly a sense of, yes, watching royalty, watching royalty squabble. So there's a real interest factor in that. I think there's also a realization, though, of the fact that, this Stanley Ho himself, this grand old man who's run Macau for 40, 50 years, it's kind of a sad way for him to be going out.
Record visitor numbers during this New Year holiday are a taste of the growth that is to come. People like Tommy Wu and his extended family taking their first trip out of mainland China.
First time? First time. They come here the first time.
As they return across the border, the knowledge that millions more are to follow, eager to try their luck in the one Chinese city where casinos are legal. Rob McBride, Al Jazeera, Macau.
This is Al Jazeera, and these are the stories making the headlines now. It's the 13th day of pro-democracy protests in Egypt. Once again, Liberation Square in Cairo is filling up with demonstrators. The largest opposition group, the Muslim Brotherhood, is meant to be holding talks with the government shortly in Cairo. But some protesters seem determined to carry on until President Mubarak steps down.
The government is not expressing the Egyptian people at all.
They will be staying here, and for the others, yes, maybe they can start outside, because many think that they need to go to their work, and life should go like it was.
People against the president of Egypt still stay here until the president of Egypt leaves the country.
Egypt's banks are set to reopen, but the doors will only be open for 3.5 hours. Weeks of unrest have paralyzed businesses and brought the lucrative tourism industry to a halt. At least 2 people were killed in Tunisia when police opened fire on a crowd of demonstrators in the northern town of Kef. State media says the clashes erupted after an officer allegedly hit a woman during a protest outside a police station. Another 17 people were injured. The Interior Ministry says the local police chief has been arrested. Rescue efforts in flood-stricken areas of Sri Lanka are being hampered by heavy rains. Officials say up to 14 people have been killed, with hundreds of thousands of homes flooded. The National Disaster Management Centre is struggling to cope. Many of the areas underwater were badly hit by a wave of monsoon rains last month. Thailand's Prime Minister has called for a peaceful solution to a border dispute with Cambodia. A ceasefire is currently in place after renewed fighting in the region. Cambodian soldiers and Thai forces exchanged gunfire near a contested 900-year-old temple on Saturday. Those are the headlines. Stay with us.